I just realized something. Maybe I've said it before, but I don't think too often. When a person sizes up a potential date, let's say, companion, on the basis of comparing them with their parent and upholding their parent as the ideal, and then being disappointed when the date or partner, companion, prospective friend does not qualify, does not stand up to the rigors of that comparison. I can see how that's generated, because the evaluation is predicated on a hunger and a lack of fulfillment in which the child never had a full relationship with their parent. Okay? It's not there. Now, to give you an example, fulfillment is really from the standpoint of both parties involved. So if either one of them feels that the relationship was not totally satisfactory, then it's not satisfactory. And both are open to that judgment, because, one may not want to admit it, So the other one, whatever. But there are a lot of facets, potential areas that could cause either party to feel that the relationship was not satisfactory. And one is sexuality. Just as an example, okay, this is not a Spitfire test of whether or not the relationship was satisfying. Far from it. But it is an example. If either one of them feels like their sexuality as a relationship was never investigated enough, or at all, then that would be cause for dissatisfaction, and then the person's going to go try to find it in somebody else. The problem is they're going to be using their parent as the qualification to see if their potential friend sizes up, and that's wrong. It's wrong to go to your next friendship expecting the prior one to show up. Well, that one didn't work, but I'll try again with the same person, with the same expectations as I had for the prior person, but in the next person. See? So, or to put it another way, dissatisfaction is one way to put it, but how would you create dissatisfaction? Well, first of all, you have to think that there's an area of the relationship to pursue. And secondly, not pursue it. Okay? Because if you don't know there's an area that you can pursue in a relationship with someone, then there's no way to judge it to say that it was dissatisfactory, right? How could you know? But if there's any inclination, any inkling that an area has been not investigated in your relationship with your parent, then it's pretty much destined to qualify a hole, a gap in that relationship. So if sexuality is never raised, either by one's peers, the media, oneself, the parent, then you'd never know or think that you were missing anything, and so you would never qualify your new friendships on the basis of what you failed to satisfy or resolve with your parent. See? So to call something an Oedipus complex is merely for the purpose of criticizing it. There's no analysis. Why is it there in the first place? Not in terms of it being wrong. See, you have to take a neutral position when you analyze these things. If you take a negative position, then you don't fully analyze it, because you're going to stop short. You say, "Well, I don't know. I don't need to go there because it's wrong anyway." That's a presumption. You can't presume anything. You can't presume to judge something before you analyze it. What the fuck are you trying to analyze something if you've already prejudged it? Hello? That's stupid. We have so much idiocy in our culture. It's unbelievable. And we call ourselves the greatest country on earth. Yeah, the greatest nutcases on earth. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm sorry, I got to use foul language because it's very foul what we do in the name of, oh, we're so good. Yeah, we just look down our nose at everybody else. That's we're the ones who are the shitty pots. Oh, God. So I hope you don't get off on my tangent off on my examples. That was simply an example to illustrate a point. The point being an abstraction, being that it's very overarching, and it covers a lot by not saying a whole lot. So I had to give you something to sink your teeth into. Well, it may not have been the best of example for many of you, but it was the one that instigated this desire to make this video, because I realized what was going on in that particular instance, in which the sexuality between the parent and child is never addressed. Well, what does that do? What's the consequence? It leaves a hole. But if it was never brought into question in the first place, there's no hole to investigate, to fill with an endless parade of spouses that never satisfy you. My mom married 3 times, and each time she said, well, it didn't work last time, I'll try again. Hey, let's see, what else? I'll try a different type of guy. It never worked out. You know why? Because they were not her father. Okay? And they never will be, because how could they be? One person's one person, another person's another person, and what? You're going to force somebody to be... See, this is where we expect somebody to change in a relationship, instead of just taking them as they are, because of this dissatisfaction that we have with one or other of our parents. It doesn't have to be the opposite gender. It could be the same gender. Whatever the relationship was that was dissatisfactory, you'll be looking for it constantly in somebody else and telling them, well, you got to change. You got to be more like my father or my mother, in order for me to be satisfied. And you know what? I'll never be satisfied because you're not my mother and you're not my father or my father. Talk about Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill every day. I mean, what'd you let it roll down in the first place for? We don't bother to ask these important questions. Just leave it there at the top of the hill. Leave it alone. But I'm not happy. Push. Clunk. I gotta push it back up again. Why'd you push it over in the first place for? Oh. Don't complain to me. Stupid. You see why it's pointless to talk about incest and argue about pedophilia? We got worse problems to worry about. Why is the divorce rate so high? And it ain't because you fucked with your parents. Trust me. Something to think about.